now being joined by Upasana Taku, co-founder of MobiKwik. Upasana, thank you so much for joining us here in the C-suite on News 9 Plus. I want to begin by asking this entire electronic payment as a concept. You know, around the time of demonetization, it was considered the next big thing, and the euphoria around it. And look how far we've come in terms of electronic payments and how quickly we've come this far, and yet we have a long way to go here in India, specifically speaking, when it comes to adoption of electronic payments. Talk to us about what is MobiKwik doing at this stage, especially when there's been so much of electronic payment adoption right through the pandemic. You know, if I were to ask you now, we've seen demonetization, we've seen the pandemic, it's all going in your direction, which is all about electronic payments. How is MobiKwik riding the wave or the opportunity, so to speak?
So firstly, thanks for having me here, Krishna. I want to tell you, you're right. Before I come to MobiKwik, the macro in India is so much in the favor of digitization, and like our Prime Minister calls it, and the FM calls it, digital payments is really, the front and center of bringing financial inclusion to both millions of Indian consumers as well as small businesses. The products, the financial products are available to so few people. So the market, the TAM is very large. And of course in this market, MobiKwik has had an early entry. We had this insight early on that India will go the smartphone way and mobile internet way. And of course we've been building to it. We are very much a tech company. All co-founders are engineers. So we built everything from scratch. And yeah, I think we've built a very large moat in the form of our payments business, which today has about 127 million users and 3.7 million merchants who accept payments via MobiKwik. And now in our second phase of growth, we are trying to bring credit products to both consumers and merchants, and also return earning products, investment products and insurance. So in a way, the full sort of neobank, full stack financial services platform for both millions of users as well as millions of merchants. So that's what we are trying to do.
All right, talking about the future and the way forward, electronic payments are ubiquitous in today's society. But then again, in India, we have something called as the UPI, which after its arrival has raised questions on wallets, for example. Do we need wallets anymore? Nobody needs a wallet anymore because the payments go straight from your bank account to the merchant / service provider. Right? How much of a threat is it for a company like MobiKwik, or for the matter fintech as a space, when you have one platform where anybody can make payments from?
So I think this is very much a narrative problem or a misnomer that wallet is competing with UPI, and because of the growth of UPI, there is no role for wallet. I think it is like saying that if debit cards in a country are growing, therefore credit cards cannot grow. So the utility of a wallet, both to the consumer and the merchant, is that it is the most convenient instrument for daily life payments. You do not want to see 100 rupee transactions in your savings account. You do want to have access to, for users who have a credit card, there are times when you use your credit card, there are times when you swipe your debit card, and there are times when you scan a QR code and pay with UPI. And there are different reasons for all of those. I think the common man in India also deserves to have multiple options. UPI only works if you have a loaded bank account. If you want to have access to new and alternative forms of credit, if you want to have access to loyalty points which are not linked to a credit card, then that is the value proposition that a wallet brings to the consumer. Experience of checkout is very simple, and all of these other functionalities that are available to you. The choice, either use your money or use a credit product available to you, or use loyalty points available to you, and make the transaction at the speed of light, per se. From a merchant perspective, it's a single reconciled payment and a single statement that comes to the merchant the next day in the morning, that this is your money and these were the transactions. Now, while UPI as a common person, I think is easy to use, I also use it enormously. But what we don't realize is that payment aggregation and payment services are important, and they need to be done in a certain manner. UPI, as you know, is currently running on zero MDR or zero revenue. So if there is zero revenue, what happens? Every bank is providing it as a service, but nobody is investing it in the tech for that. Nobody is investing in customer support for UPI transactions, and nobody is building merchant settlement reports for the merchant.
MobiKwik as a startup took its own time scaling up and doing things the right way, and which is where you are today. But in India, we've seen the startup ecosystem go through let's say, a rough phase. If I'm saying it rough, because you had the euphoria of unicorns popping up almost every single day, currently more than 100 unicorns in the country. And then you saw all the bad side of the startup culture of India, corporate governance issues. You had the Bharat Pay scandal breaking out. You had Zilingo, India-based entrepreneur who started, Indian origin entrepreneur who started Zilingo. So many of these issues. Are startups doing it the right way? Are startups scaling up too fast? Are they looking for too much funds? Are they burning too much funds? Are they hiring too soon, too much, and then firing too many too fast? So much of this has happened. When you yourself as a startup, and you've had your own share of trials and tribulations in building this business, when you see all of this, how do you view this as a fellow startup founder?
Much like everything else in life, you don't get married because your friends are getting married. You don't have a child because your friend is getting a child. Well, it may influence you that I should start thinking about it, but you don't exactly follow the same cookie cutter formula, right? It's not like all my friends are doing engineering or all my friends are becoming journalists, so I will become that only. I think people need to be more thoughtful about what is the right way for them to build it. Some people want to go through a very radical up and down and, sinusoidal curve in building it out. Some people want to go in a more stable manner in building it out. I think it's a little bit flows from the personality and style of the founder itself.
But both are right in their own ways.
Both are right, but I think people who are running so fast that they forgot to look at everything else in terms of governance, financials, all of that, they need to take a look at that. And people who are focusing too much on process and all of that, they need to look at growth and expansion. I think there's a balance that one needs to come through at. Because see, what is the ultimate goal? It depends. The ultimate goal for some founders might be to build something to X scale and cash out, sell it to a larger company or whoever. The goal for somebody else might be to build a tenured business, like how Dhirubhai Ambani built Reliance, or how Jeff Bezos built Amazon. So it just depends on are you playing a very long game, are you playing a mid-term long game, or are you playing a short game? And accordingly, your strategy will vary.
Okay, what was your game when you started out MobiKwik? How did you look at the future? Did you have a plan 5 years down the line, we're going to be here, 10 years down the line, we're going to be there? How did you go about doing it when you were in the hot seat?
Absolute truth. When we started, or rather when every founder starts, you're not sure whether you'll reach 5 years. You're lucky you reach year 1. So that's our first goal, was that we have to reach 1 million users. And if we reach 1 million users, then we know what we are building has value. And then we'll think about raising funds and scaling it up. And, I can tell you, my father, bless his soul, he's no more with us, but he was like, what are you doing? Leaving your green card, coming back to India, doing this, you lost it. And I told him, Papa, just wait, you just see, we'll get somewhere. And I told him the same thing, that if we get to 1 million users, then I will not turn back, I'll just keep going, because then I'll have far more confidence and conviction. And that's what happened. The first 2 years were a big grind, struggle. There were days and nights where we thought about kal band kar denge, but we didn't. And if you don't and you keep going along, you reach your goal, then you have the confidence. I was able to do it, and now I'll be able to conquer everything. So the trials and tribulations that we have lived through, I'm not known to be a loudmouth or a flamboyant person, so I don't want to brag. But I have seen founders with far more opportunities and resources giving up and shutting shop in the last 6-7 years. And we've had, much little, and we just kept going on every time there was a big problem. And it has reaped significant benefits for us, advantages for us. Now that we've reached here, now I want to go for the long game. Nothing short of that. I can tell you that.
It's a lovely lesson that you're giving us. It's one of the most famous lessons ever. That is, don't give up. Keep going, and keep going based on your realities. Don't just keep going without knowing your realities, and you will get where you want to get. It's a lovely message you've given us. Thank you so much for taking time out to be with us here in the C-Suite of News 9 Plus. Hope we get to see you here again. Thank you so much.
Thank you.